All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews, back to do another Holidays 2020 episode where we talk about an episode of South Park and we review a movie that is holiday-ish themed, takes place around Christmas, or just something like this. Which we're going to be talking about today is Assassin 33 AD, a movie one of my subs turned me on to. Definitely a rifftrax worthy movie. But first, we're going to be talking about Red Sleigh Down from the 6th season of South Park. I accidentally forgot about A Very Crappy Christmas, and we watched Red Sleigh Down instead, but it ended up being perfect because in both things we watched, Jesus gets shot. So it turned out to be, a blessing in disguise that we got two movies where we got to see Jesus getting blasted. But but we'll be getting to A Very Crappy Christmas on Friday. We'll be talking about that one with a very Harold and Kumar Christmas on Friday. So if you're liking the channel, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, all that stuff as we get this out of the way as we continue live with these reviews. So I want to thank everybody so far in the chat. Bill's here, Rain is here. So Red Sleigh Down. I freaking love Red Sleigh Down. I was a huge fan of Black Hawk Down. I read the book. I saw the movie. Some people really dislike it because of some of the changes they made in that from movie to book, but I thought it was really good. And so I thought doing an episode that, followed that pattern of Black Hawk Down, I thought was genius. But also, this episode is genius because of how it all starts and ends, and somehow we get all the way through this episode to find out that this was their way of saying, hey, remember Christmas was about Jesus. And so without even acknowledging that the holiday has gotten away from, celebrating Jesus, they make it one of those episodes, and it's hilarious that Jesus dies saving Christmas. So now every Christmas we should remember that Jesus died for us so that we could have Christmas. And I mean, I love how South Park still and always does this, where it takes something really ridiculous and silly and finds somehow to put a meaning on it. Despite how they get there, there's always some sort of little nugget in there that is just almost every episode. But in this episode, we've got, because here's the premise, right? It's simple. Eric Cartman is trying to get a robot dog. So when he finds out through his nice and naughty accountant that at this point he owes 306 presents, and that unless if he cured cancer and AIDS by next week, he'd still owe 3 or 4 presents. So basically, Eric is on a mission to do the nicest thing that anyone has ever done, ever. And so he decides that he wants to bring Christmas to Iraq. Meanwhile, the town is trying to light the town's Christmas tree, but first they let Jimmy sing the 12 Days of Christmas, which, I'm sorry, I don't care how many times they cut back to it and back to it and back to it. They just found a way to make Jimmy be in a moment of the song that is just so you feel ashamed of yourself laughing, but it is so funny, him just stuttering through it, knowing that these people just are sitting there going, oh my God, this song is never going to end. But while that's happening, Eric and them all meet Mr. Hanky, who comes and gives them a ride to the North Pole on his poo-choo train, which is literally a train made out of shit. And I mean, even Stan and Kyle at this point are like, what are we doing, man? What are we doing? And so they get up to the North Pole on the poo-choo train. Oh my God. And convince Santa that they should bring, Christmas to Iraq. And so Santa decides to make a special trip there, and he gets shot down by Iraqis. And it's freaking great. The Santa Claus in this episode is just hilarious. Like, they call him when he finally reaches everybody, because they're like, oh my God, he's dead. But he's like, what does he say? He says, sleigh down, reindeer, all dead, both legs broken. Santa is very sad. So Santa's on the ground, and the kids decide to go in there after him on Santa's second sleigh. And they need to go find Jesus, who can help them free Santa Claus from the Iraqis, who are being led by a parody of the character in the movie Three Kings by David Russell, with George Clooney, Mark Wahlberg, Spike Jonze, Ice Cube, where they are robbing one of Saddam's bunkers. And that character from that movie, the terrorist who's torturing Mark Wahlberg, they do a parody of his character in this, the man who's torturing Santa Claus. Because they call him, because the character is famous for saying, "Mummy man, hey mummy man, that's not cool. Killing my family, was that cool, mummy man?" And it's so weird that when we watch that movie, Three Kings, we think about that moment of why that guy always keeps saying, "My main man," but most people let that moment come and go. And then there's nerds like us, right? Nerds like Trey Parker and Matt Stone, who remember those weird details and throw them into a character for no reason other than they were like, hey, you know what? Why don't we make him sound like the guy that said "my main man" in Three Kings as he tortures Santa's balls? Not Santa's balls. And it's like, even in season 6, when you get to hear Santa Claus like go, "I'm gonna fucking kill you," it doesn't get old. It doesn't get old because it still hits, because it's still Santa, even if he's not real, But they find Jesus, they bring him there, and of course Jesus turns out to be like a really great killer. You should know I'm packing, and like starts killing all these guys. They free Santa. Santa blows the guy away, because in the famously in Three Kings, Mark Wahlberg fires the gun, but it's at the wall because he couldn't do it. He just couldn't do it after hearing the guy's sob story. But in this case, Santa does shoot him like 3 times in the head, because he's like, I couldn't let him do it. He shocked Santa's balls. So they're all on the way out, and Jesus doesn't see a guy behind him with a shotgun and gets blasted from behind. Where time slows down, and everybody's like, Jesus. And so Jesus dies so that Christmas is saved. Santa bombs Iraq with Christmas spirit. And now it's time to remember to thank Jesus on Christmas. That remember Jesus is why we celebrate Christmas. It's a great episode. But on to the main course. The main course being, oh my goodness, Assassin 33 AD. Where do you even, how do you even talk about this movie? Okay, because it is a movie. I'll say that this is a movie. It really, really, really wants to be competent too, man. It's there's like they're really trying. I'll at least give them that, whether it's good or bad, for good or bad. They're really trying. But to me, this movie just feels like some guy who really liked Inception, like some rich racist white guy out there who thinks he likes Christopher Nolan movies is like, you know what, them Christopher Nolan movies are great, man, but you know what they need? They need more Jesus fighting terrorists and time travel. We could do it, man. We just film it at that college, that religious college, when they're not, when the students aren't there. We just film it at the religious college. Because holy moly, this movie's bad. But I mean, we knew this. We knew going in that it wasn't going to be good. But and it's not Santa Jaws bad. This is in another realm. It's in its own world because this is a religious movie trying very hard to not be religious. It's trying to be the cool religious movie. It's trying to be the edgy, people gonna die in this movie, religious movie. They want you to really feel the power of Jesus. And boy, dude, does it come up, like when it comes up in the plot or in the script or somebody needs to talk about it. Holy moly, does this movie like suddenly just turn a corner into like where it's not like preaching at you, but just suddenly becomes like a reenactment of some, we got this letter in today from this family and it's like some religious story. Just like when somebody writes into Penthouse or when you hear one of those stories online where it's like, hey, I'd like to tell you a little story about a friend of mine. He was an astronaut. And, that you just know where it's going is a bunch of bullshit that never happened. So, so yeah, I feel like this movie was created by somebody who, wanted a religious Christopher Nolan movie. Really bad. But he wanted it to be, exciting. So he's like, there still gets to be some people who get killed, but like no blood. We don't need that. But it did look like it was filmed in a religious college or some sort of high school or I don't know, like a possible like just an office building that still had a lot of like computers and stuff still inside it that they could just move around whenever they needed it. But thankfully, this movie does have one good thing in it, and that's Heidi Montag, who I was legitimate. Like, I'm glad that she was in it because she's in it for about a minute or two of screen time, counting beginning and the end of the movie. And I went, that's about as much Heidi Montag as I need in this movie. Thanks, movie. You did one thing right. You cut down that person's, like, does that mean that they couldn't afford that? Like, that was their big star. That was their big get, was who's going to play the dead wife? We need somebody that we're going to go, oh. And somebody's like, well, we can let's get I don't know, you start to think of people's names from like lower budget movies or independent movies, or somebody, a little low stature, but somebody that you'll recognize, or some like real nerds will recognize. But no, no, we don't do that. We don't go there at all. We go with a reality star from the early 2000s and then kill her off in the first scene. And for people that don't like that person, it's like, well, cool. At least we know she died in a car accident. But speaking of the car accident, that was, what the hell was that? That looked like a cartoon got inserted right at the moment of impact. I also loved it when she died. Right as she died, she's like saying, I just have this feeling that God is going to do something miraculous through you. And they literally then, he turns and the semi hits him and everything. And it's just, we cut to a flash forward. So this movie is partially, this guy, he loses his family, his kids in this car crash, right now. And since his wife was getting a little spiritual at the end, now that they're all dead, he blames God for taking his family away, or blames Jesus or whatever religion this movie's belief system is about. And so there's the whole shaken faith, guy who's got shaken faith part of the movie. And then you got these scientists, kids that are kids. Well, they seem like kids, even though they're grown-ups. They seem to be behaving almost like they're in like an 80s comedy. Weird, but they're like, if they were all written by, fundamentalists or really, just really, really, really conservative religious groups were writing the dialogue for like an 80s teen movie. And they're working on what happens to be time travel, and their bosses just happen to be freaking Middle Eastern people that are running a secret plan through the technology that these kids are working on to have this time machine take them back, and then they can kill Jesus before he's resurrected. Now, we had a lot of fun in the chat discussing this plan. I enjoyed reading everybody's comments about what the different religions believe and why this plan is stupid. I agree that it is all stupid. They really were trying to like just say whatever. He kept talking about a GPS over and over again early on. Plus, in less than like 2 minutes, there are two conversations where somebody wants to make a bet for a meal. I know that's stupid, but I just couldn't get it out of my head for a while. Let's see what people are writing here in the chat. Jesus was played by a 4th place American Idol finalist. That makes sense. That car accident came out of nowhere. I don't know, like, I could tell where that was headed. That's one of those things where I just expected it. The people who wrote this did not know Islam at all, says Deborah. This movie was insanity. Raina says, I'd say bad. The science was so bad. Tried to have a diverse cast. I don't know. I thought that even the actors were really trying, really going for it. I mean, a lot of these people just looked like they... Some of them seemed pseudo professional, like the Middle Eastern boss guy. I feel like I've seen him in a few things. But the rest of this cast borders on, people who go to an improv class level of acting, to maybe some people who've done some commercial work, to somebody who's really hoping that Assassin 33 AD is going to be the one that gets him noticed by maybe somebody like James Gunn. Because who knows, like being in some of these weird movies, we got a bunch of weird directors out there who see people in this, and then that's when you find out that like 10 years later that they're in some weird movie like this, and we all go, remember that? So this movie becomes, the terrorists find out that they've built a time machine, and they immediately want to repurpose it to go back and kill Jesus before he gets resurrected. So that way they can, what I wrote down was, let's see. Dismantling Christianity with a supervillain plan. So yeah, I mean, I think it's funny. It's really comical. Clearly, whoever, like, I'm serious, whoever financed this had to be big time involved in like the story process for this, because this all just feels so much like what every red-blooded American man would love to see, a religious man would love to see in a movie like this, where it is just all save Jesus, bad terrorists, bad. Of course, they go back and want to kill Jesus. The thing is I do kind of love how much carnage is in this movie, even if it is bloodless. There's like literally scenes where there's just bodies on the floor that have been time traveled and popping in and out of time travel machines and getting shot right there. It's like there's a lot of people dying that it was hard to even keep track of how many different timelines they had going in this movie. So I as much as I'm making fun of it, it is also like was really trying, like I said, right at the beginning of this movie really, really wants to be good. And and that's where I think like they took some of these story elements that people would like time travel, and, would it have been more successful if it had been like about Hitler? Maybe it wouldn't have been at least so contentiously, looked at, like, or I don't even know if anybody's talked about this movie, but what I mean is, like, when I think of it, I just go, oh, this is another one of those, somehow I'm going to be a Christian or a better Christian, or, either a new Christian, a better Christian, a returning Christian. And remember that, science is nothing compared to religion or some crap. And I mean, that's exactly what happens. It just there is a surprisingly amount of death in this movie. Well, yeah, but I still think that like you're saying here in the chat, that you have to know the movie's going to be bad when they read the script. But for some of these people, though, that's they still have to hope that somebody sees this and says they were good in this. George Clooney was in Revenge or Return of the Killer Tomatoes. Now look where he is, So there have been a lot of people in really, really bad movies, but that's where they got their start. And so everybody starts somewhere. So who knows? Maybe we'll see a couple of these people. I bet you we at least see the girl in some stuff and the lead guy who plays Ram. But that's also if they're not true believers in what they're doing. That's another thing, is like if they're all about like the religious angle and things, then that's when a lot of those actors, I think, find themselves like on the outs with regular Hollywood, who, it seems like, religion's kind of getting pushed out a little bit in Hollywood movies, a little bit. But there's just so much weirdness. I mean, we could spend a whole lot of time just breaking down every scene, except they start getting like more and more confusing as far as like what timeline they're all in. But I mean, there's a scene where the guy gets told, if you don't tell us the codes, we're going to kill your parents. And they kill his parents. And I was kind of like, all right, movie. Like every once in a while, it would do some crazy stuff like that where I'd be like, okay, like he's willing to let everybody die. And I kind of dug that. Like, there's like basically nobody that they couldn't put in front of this guy, except then the girl comes in, right? And he tries to save her. But then they go back in time, and it's like each one of these people, they all get killed at some point in some timeline. And it's actually like, it's the part that kept me interested in was how many times are they going to be dead? And are they going to end up forgetting how many of them are actually out there that they kill? But every time I start to get invested in it, then they go spiritual on me, and suddenly there's somebody's giving some speech about Jesus, or getting really passionate. You have to save Jesus. Well, he's they consider him a god, so he's probably okay. Well, make sure he's okay. Make sure Jesus is okay. Prove that you're God. Oh, like when he's sitting there, okay, and Jesus is on the cross. Well, first off, that when Jesus is like carrying the cross, right? The black dude in the movie, who's supposed to, I don't know if he's supposed to be comic relief or what, but he's trying to do his job. I'm sure there's people that find him fun, are going to watch this movie and think he's funny. I think that there's a few people out there that'll think he's funny, right? I didn't think he's funny, but the writing isn't funny. I don't think it's the actor's fault either, but he's like, sees Jesus fall on the ground, and the soldiers are like, get up, but some out of nowhere, here comes black dude. I think it was his name, Simon. Just comes up to the Roman soldiers like, hey, back off, man. And these guys are like huge, massive dudes, and they're just like, oh, okay. Yeah, like just do whatever you want, man. It's cool. We're just gonna go hold up some wall over here while you help Jesus carry the cross for the rest of the way. Yeah, fine. It's just weird stuff like that. But like also when they show Jesus on the cross, right? And the main character Ram is bringing his hurt girlfriend Amy, who's been shot, to him, and he's like, it's such a funny scene because this is the crucifixion, one of the most important moments in supposed, if it's all true history, at least religious history, it's the most one of the most important events in religious history. And it's just, you just see this guy standing in front of Jesus who's dying going, save my girlfriend, prove to me that you're like, this is all worth it. Not once do they ever freak out that they're like the first people to time travel, right? Every time they do something first, they ignore it. Like, I'm sorry, but if I suddenly time traveled back to like Jerusalem or something, and I would be spending about 20 minutes going, oh my God, we just did that. But nobody reacts at all. Nobody reacts at all to the events that are taking place in this movie, as if they're just written by somebody who forgot to give these people emotions that fit the situation that they're in. Yes, Bill, for sure. It's another one of those evangelical Jesus time travel assassin movies. Like, there's even a moment when the guy, like the bad guy, goes and travels into Jesus's cave to make sure that he stays dead. The other thing is this movie's long, and it feels long. And the thing is, it's only an hour and 49 minutes, which you actually have to watch most of it because there's like a whole other movie in the credits that set up a whole Antichrist plot later for a future movie. But I just... So let's just cover the crazy lines. Oh my God. Yeah, like the guy Brand, they go back in time and they literally do this white dude that had the massive faith shakeup when his wife got killed. He shoots Jesus like a couple of times in the head. And I like to think it was, oh my God, he killed Jesus, you bastards. The term the ultimate jihad was mentioned. It destroys all Christians. Basically, by killing Jesus before the resurrection, you remove anybody from wanting or needing to become a Christian. It's trying so hard to be competently written. Oh, yeah. Simon tells Jesus, this kid Simon, he actually goes and he meets Jesus in the woods, and he's all cool and cash about it, right? Because everybody's just cool and cash about everything, right? I mean, Jesus could be standing there, and then fucking Napoleon and, I don't know, Charlie Chaplin could walk up to him too, and they'd all just be acting like this is all completely normal. Hey, D, excellent point about time travel. Lots of movies, people don't really react to really being in the past. I just think that if you would be spazzing out a little bit, or at least be aware, have some self-awareness of what's going on around you. What else do we have here? So, yeah, the guy says, Simon says when he meets, got sidetracked. Simon sees Jesus, and he's just like, they're just talking, man. And he's like, hey, man, yeah, I saw your movie. I mean, I have the bootleg. And I was thinking to myself, didn't they start just giving away The Last Temptation of Christ at like gas stations for like $1? Like, if you get a Red Bull, you can just take a copy of The Last Temptation of Christ. Or no, it's not The Last Temptation of Christ. The Passion of the Christ. Damn. Passion of the Christ. That's the movie I meant. But he's like, I got a bootleg. Like, who has a bootleg copy of Passion of the Christ? Don't improv. Not every moment needs a weird improv. Because the character's trying to be funny, but it's just like when he's trying to convince Jesus not to go because they're gonna kill him. He's like, he literally like just lets Jesus go. Like he's trying. He's doing like the soft sell. It's like, Jesus, man, they're gonna go kill you, man. Like you really don't want to go that way. And Jesus is like, yeah, but I've got to go. I've got to. And he's like, okay, man, like, fine, like, go ahead, get yourself killed, Jesus. It's like it's just, well, that's it. I guess I give up on saving, the Messiah. But then he comes back, and you think he's gonna like give like some extra like powerful moment, some powerful speech, and he's just like, "Don't do this to yourself, man." And I'm like, he's literally talking to him like he's like a pledge brother at a frat. But and I was thinking about, there's something that Jesus says to Amy as she's dying, right? He could save her, but he doesn't save her. She's like literally dying in front of him. And this is after the resurrection, and he does not save her. He just says, oh, you don't feel nothing anymore. And they talk about the whole thing, like, if even one of the sheep has strayed, we have to go after it. And everybody else has to just kind of sit and wait until we go get that sheep back to the rest of the flock. And I was thinking to myself, what if that's really what's going on right now? Is that everything sucks, right? Everything's like, okay, if you want to, like, I'll play along and say all of this is real. And say, like, what if the reason everything is still so bad is because there's just like one holdout out there? That they're saying, look, we would fix all of this, but we still got one sheep out there that's not, he hasn't come back to the fold, and we can't move on the future until we get this one guy to be part of the gang again. And I think that'd be actually kind of a funny, like, at least sketch of just some guy who's like, no, I'm sorry, I just don't believe it. And everybody just going like, come on, you're the only, like, it'd be like 12 Angry Men, except, about actually moving forward as a society. There's even the line, it's time for my own resurrection. Rob, that one guy was the ex-soldier security guard. I know who he was. Also, as Simon Lay's dying, he's like, his last words, he's like, "Hey man, so do you think he's legit?" The guy's like, "Who are you talking about?" And he goes, "Jesus, man." And he's like, "Well, he spoke English to you. Who else could he be?" Oh man, this movie. Um, the guy who finds Simon, and the bad guy finds Simon after Simon shoots the computer to like stop the bad guy from using it. He turns on Simon, shoots him, double taps him twice in the head, and then spits full on spittle right on his corpse as he shoots him. And I'm sorry, as much as that's fucked up, I loved it because it was in this movie somehow that somebody said, no, we got to keep the double tap spit take. We also have our a typical scene of a guy who's saying, "Go ahead and shoot me. You'd be doing me a favor." And just as that scene has to happen, you also have to have the scene where the guy forgives him, and I love it. He's like, oh my god, this guy he's like a religious Jim Carrey, but like without being too like rubber facey. And he just, the way he like turns and is like, "I can't do it. I forgive you. This is for my wife." And you know, there's a literally an app they use to make sure that the timeline is fixed because the bad guy gets stabbed. Everybody goes back home. I don't want to talk too much longer about this, but they go to the I Disciple Bible app to read the Bible while he's dying to make sure that the Bible verses are back the way that they're supposed to, so that they know that what they did worked. And apparently, this guy that's dying here, this version of Ram, was the guy in the Bible who was the man in the linen garment who ran away naked. So this movie decided, also to insert itself into actual scripture, where they now use the time machine for good. And the first thing they do is save the guy at the beginning's wife and kids from getting killed. Because they just do time travel. They don't think about it. They tried sounding really smart about it, kept talking about time continuums. They were just like, I swear it was just like, all they'd have to do is like watch like a couple of episodes of Neil deGrasse Tyson, right? And just write down some shit and just spew it out in their thing and just go, look, man, the average guy who believes in Jesus is probably this science that we're telling him is already going to blow his fucking mind. So just we'll put it out there and they'll just accept it, or they won't accept it, or they won't care. So that's Assassin 33 AD. It is a movie. And I do think it deserves a rifftrax treatment. It's the only way you'll get me to watch it ever again. But hey, I knew what I was getting into. Join us Friday night at 7 o'clock for a viewing party of A Very Harold and Kumar Christmas with a live review after. So that'll be Friday night. The review will probably be around 8:45, 9 o'clock. So thanks for watching this. If you did like it, please hit like, subscribe, all that jazz. You can find me on Mondays doing His Dark Materials. We got Mandalorian season finale on Saturday. We've got these holiday movies still. We got The Expanse season 5, first 3 episodes review coming tomorrow, hopefully. So there's still a ton of stuff happening on the channel. Plus, we're playing Final Fantasy X and Resident Evil 3 on Twitch at Smirking Gun Plays, and sometimes at YouTube at Smirking Gun Plays as well. So thanks, everybody. It was just Assassins 33 AD. All right, I got sidetracked. So thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you on the next one of these.